Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Meet me again today. We'll talk about the second types of syntactic structures, which is structures of predication. Okay, I'm sorry, I've got a bit sore throat. I hope I still can speak clearly. Okay, next. What is structure of predication? Last week we discussed about structure of modification, and today is predication. In predication, the two elements are subject and predicate. And each of these, the subject and predicate, can be one word or a word with function words, like their friend. So friend can be the head, and then there is function word as the modifier, the work, for example. A phrase, okay, and one of three syntactic structures. So the Chinese box is like this: we is the subject, work is the predicate, and we put them all into one box, and then we put one symbol, which is P. So this P face predicate, and behind P is subject. Jadi structure of predication itu terdiri dari dua elemen, yaitu subject dan predicate. Dan di antara keduanya itu ada simbol P yang menyatakan bahwa di depan P itu adalah predicate, di belakangnya adalah subject. Seperti ini bentuk analisa Chinese boxesnya. Okay, now let's move. Okay, predicate. Let's talk about predicate. So predicate always has a verb or verb phrase in key position. So predicate must always be include must always include a verb. So the predicate can be one word, which is verb, or verb headed, verb as the head, or verb as the core in complementation, and verb as an essential element. Take an example like this one. Okay, so we have subject, and then work is as the predicate, and we put the box, bigger box, and then P. So the predicate is one word, work, and the predicate can be verb headed. So like this one, work is the head, and early is the modifier. Okay, and like this one can also be a verb as the core, like in nominal sentence. For example, we are happy. So are is the predicate and happy the complement. And then can be coordination. For example, work and pray, or work and or pray. Okay, and they can be the predicate. Jadi predicate itu bisa satu kata, yaitu berupa verb, atau verb yang menjadi head, atau verb yang menjadi key element. Nanti akan dibahas macam-macam verb di pembahasan berikutnya. And also in coordination with coordinator. Okay, dengan tambahan and atau or dan sebagainya. Okay. And next, after talking about predicate, now we talk more detail about verb. And verb can be classified into 7. Jadi verb bisa dianalisa menjadi 7. Ini yang hal penting dari verb yang harus diketahui. So the first is person, the second is tense, and then phase, aspect, mode, voice, and stages. Okay, now let's talk about them one by one. The first is person. So person is divided into two, common or third singular. And for common, usually the subject are they, we, I, you. And for third singular, the subject are he, she, it. Take an example. We learn English today. Or Tiara and Ria learn English today, because we can or mean some people, And here, if we analyze the verb learn, we can analyze the person as common. Why? Because we is part of the common subject. Tiara and Ria also we or they, so the person is common. Jadi kalau kita menganalisa verb di sini, learn, the verb ini kita analisa personnya, maka dia termasuk yang common. Kenapa? Karena subjeknya di antara ini, bukan yang third singular. Take another example. Nah, kalau di sini he learns English today, or Bobby learns English today. Nah, kalau yang di sini, kalau kita analisa personnya, maka the person is third singular. Why? Because the subject is one of this, he, she, or it. Okay. So what do we have to remember from this? Dari sini maka perlu diingat bahwa ketika dalam membuat kalimat, kita harus perhatikan hubungan antara subjek dengan verbnya, because they may mean something, karena bisa jadi ada hubungan di antaranya. Misalnya di sini untuk she, he, it dalam bentuk simple present, kita tidak boleh lupa menambahkan is. And also like continuous, progressive sentences, seperti juga kalimat continuous, ada juga diikuti dengan to be. Misalnya he is learning English. Nah, itu penggunaan to be-nya harus disesuaikan dengan subjeknya. So that's how we analyze person. Okay, now let's move to the second one, tense. How many kind of tenses do you know? Maybe you may say 12 or 16, but here the tense is only divided into two, present and past. Have a look at this one. Like the present tense, I learn, I'm learning, I have learned, I have been learning, I will learn. So we have simple present, we have present continuous, we have present perfect continuous, and we have also present future, and we may have present future continuous, present future perfect, and so on. But actually the tenses can be divided into two. Jadi tenses ini hanya dibagi menjadi dua saja. Seperti juga past tense, ini ada simple past tense, past continuous, dan sebagainya. Okay, so when we analyze tense, kalau kita analisa tense, we have to look at the verb, and we know whether they are present tense or past tense. Okay, now we analyze the next one. Number 3, phase. Phase is divided into simple and perfect. What is simple phase? Simple phase is the verb which is not past participle. Past participle means verb 3. Like the sentence, he eats yellow rice. Do you like yellow rice? Yeah, okay. Eats here is not verb 3, it's not past participle, so if we analyze the phase, it means simple. But if the sentence, the verb in the sentence is past participle, like this one, he has eaten rice. Okay, so this is past participle, so we analyze it as perfect phase. Or also in we are done, for example this one, stative passive, here also analyze as perfect phase. Maksudnya apa di sini? Bahwa dalam sebuah kalimat kita harus memperhatikan apakah ada di sana penggunaan past participle yang biasanya diawali dengan auxiliary have, has, had, atau juga diawali dengan to be. Kalau iya, maka analisanya dia adalah perfect, kalau tidak dia adalah simple. Okay, now let's move to number 4, the aspect. So there are 3 aspects in verb: simple, gerative, and inquisitive. What's the difference? In simple phase is using verb base form. Jadi kalau menggunakan verb base atau verb tanpa imbuhan ing, maka analisanya aspect is simple. But if in the sentence you can find to be, which is followed by verb ing, then for example, he is walking fast. In this case, the aspect is gerative. But sometimes you may find like this example, he gets walking. We have verb ing, but before verb ing we find the auxiliary get. Yeah, so in this case we call it as inquisitive aspect. Do you know what get here means? Get can means start to do something. Let's get going, let's start going. Okay, now let's move to number 5, mode. So there are two kind of mode: modal auxiliary or other auxiliary with two infinitive. Okay, and mode is not always included in every sentences. In every sentence. Jadi mode ini tidak selalu ada ya, because not all sentences have modal auxiliaries or other auxiliaries. Okay, what is modal auxiliary? So as we know, like can, and the past tense is could, will, would, must, may, might, and so on. Or we may also call it as basic modal ya, followed by base form of verb. Jadi semua ini pasti diikuti dengan verb 1 tanpa imbuhan. I can do, I will do, I must do, I may do, for example. And if in the sentence we have other auxiliaries plus 2 plus verb 1, like be able to do, have to do, ought to do, be going to do, and they also have similar meaning to basic modal. In others book, they are called as phrasal modal. Like be able to means can, have to means must, ought to means should, be going to means will. They have similar meaning. And if you find this in sentences, so we analyze it as other auxiliary mode. Okay, now we go to number 6. Number 6 is voice. So there are two kind of voice in verb analysis: active voice or passive voice. So active voice means kalimat aktif ya, using base verb. She wrote letters. Okay, so wrote is means verb 1 ya. Even though it's verb 2, but we don't have verb 3. It can be verb 1 or verb 2. But passive is usually or not usually, it's always always verb 3, but it can be preceded with to be or with the auxiliary get. Jadi kalau pasif ada dua, be passive and get passive, and they mean the same, sama-sama artinya di. Okay, for example, she wrote letters become letters were written. So we have verb 3 or past participle written, and then before the verb 3 we have to be. It means D. And we may also get this one, letters got written. In this case it's also passive sentences, and the meaning is the same, but usually the second one is for informal. Okay, let's go to the last one, which is status. Okay, so the verbs also have status, and there are 4 status. It can be affirmative or a statement. Interrogative questions should have question mark here. And negative, it means we have the word not. And then negative interrogative questions with not. For example, in affirmative, we read books. Interrogative, do we read books? Okay, we have question word. Negative, we do not read books. So we have to add auxiliary do in making questions, and also in making negative sentences. For verbal sentence, do not we read books or do we not read books? So they are just the same, and we have question words. Okay, so if you find sentences, you can recognize whether they are affirmative, interrogative, negative, or negative in interrogative. So those all are 7 classification of verb. Now we move to subject. Okay, after we talk about verb, now we talk about the subject. So what are the subjects of a sentence? The subject can be only noun or one word, like money here, or noun headed, noun as the head, like the weather, or a prepositional phrase, in Tulungagung. Okay, let's see the analysis. Money talks, and then we put them into one box, and then we give P here. Why we add S here because the person of this verb is, okay, what is it? A third singular. Okay, and then the next one, the weather. So the weather is noun headed. Weather is as the head and the is as the modifier, and we have is sunny as the predicate, and sunny is the complement. We'll discuss about complementation later, and then we put them into one bigger box. Okay, for the last one I think you can try by yourself. Okay, now what else for the subject? Subject can be structures of complementation, like here studying syntax, or structures of coordination, food and drink, so we have and, or structures of predication, that he did it well. Okay, so all of them are the subject. Okay, let's see the analysis. Studying syntax, sorry, I'm wrong, it should be C here, yeah, because complementation. Studying syntax is my hobby. Okay, my hobby is also one structure, which is modification, and we also put them into one bigger box with P here because studying syntax is the subject, and then is my hobby the predicate, and then we still have one symbol here, is the verbal element, and my hobby is the complement. Okay, the next one, food and drink. Okay, so we have and, so all of them are structures of coordination, and they become the subject. Can be found here. So here is the complement, here is the modifier of the verb, and then we have a P in the middle, and we put them into one bigger box. Okay, so all of them are the subjects of the structure of predication. So when you find a sentence, so you have to be careful to recognize which one or which parts are the subject and which parts are the predicate. Jadi kalau ada sebuah kalimat, pastikan memahami yang bagian mana yang menjadi subject, bagian mana yang menjadi predicate. And every sentences, every clauses, they must at least have one subject and one predicate. Or special for imperative sentence, they may also have a predicate. Ya, jadi kalau dalam menganalisis sebuah kalimat, memahami kalimat, pastikan tahu yang mana subjeknya, yang mana predikatnya, yang mana verbnya, karena setiap kalimat harus ada subjek dan verb, kecuali kalimat imperatif atau kalimat perintah, itu baru bisa hanya ada verb saja. Okay, now let's move to almost the last. Nah, misalnya di sini kita menganalisa, where is Mr. P? Where is the predicate? Ya, di sini kita lihat mana predicate-nya. Okay, can you find the predicate? Okay, of course I give a space here. He is to be told. They should not have been working. Ought we to get going? Okay, so we have P here because he is the subject. Is to be told, all of them are the predicate. They is the subject, should not have been going is the predicate. We is the subject, to get going is predicate, but we have two symbols here. Ought is also the predicate because we is still the subject, but before the subject we also have the word here as the predicate. And also similar case number 4. Now let's try to analyze this into 7 classification of verb. Okay, let's see. What is the person of this sentence? The person, we have see here is and he, so the person is third singular. And the face is simple. And the aspect is also simple. And then what about the tense? Oh, tense would be number 2. The tense is present. And then okay, we have person, tense, face, aspect, and the next one, mode. The mode is other auxiliaries. Okay, and the mode is other auxiliaries, and then the stages, it is affirmative. Okay, and what about the second one? The person is, as we know, is common, and the tense can be this should be is past tense, and then the face is okay, the face is perfect, and the aspect is, we have be and in, the aspect is durative, and then the mode is modal auxiliary, and then the should is the modal auxiliary. And for this, oh sorry, for number one I haven't talked about the voice yet. The voice here is to be, and then verb 3 the voice is passive. And for number two, the voice is active, because after be we have ing, not verb 3. And then let's see number 3. Okay, what is the number one? Person. We have we, so the person is common. And then number 2, tense, we have present. And then number 3, face, we have this as simple tense, simple face. And then the aspect is get going, so it's incoative. And then for the mode, we have O2, other auxiliary. And then the voice, get going, so there is no verb 3, so we have it as active voice. And the last one, the status. What do you think the status of we to get going? Of course it is question, so interrogative. And the last one, the person is the singular. And then tense, might is past tense. And face, have, so it is perfect. And then for aspect, this is been and ing, so durative. And number 5 is modal auxiliary, so you have might. And then number 6, the voice, so we have, okay, where is the verb? We have run. So do you think run is verb 1, verb 2, or verb 3? Run can be verb 1 or verb 3. So is it active or passive? We see before run we have get, so it can be get plus verb 3. So this is passive voice. And for the last one, the status, this is negative interrogative. Okay, you can try to analyze by yourself later. I think that's all for now, and you can ask me questions. Thank you. I hope this video will be beneficial, and assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.